Gary, because you don't want AJ's face to be the first one.
Gotcha. This is
That's
10
okay.
minutes, 10 minutes live. Are we good?
It says live. You should be
All right.
good.
Welcome to Living by Oak Values, where we don't just talk about values, we embody them. We are unlock what makes us stronger men, fearless leaders, and unstoppable humans. I'm Gary, the Superior Mailman, and we are here to keep it real. We are raw, and we are ready to rebuild. So let's dive in.
And I'm Rob. And today's topics are two values: transparency and unity. And we're trying to put them together to show how to build relationships
I like
and
that.
transform how we see and live our lives. The transparency builds the trust, and the unity builds the strength. But together, it's kind of like the foundations for a good relationship. Um, it- the best way I can put it is with transparency, we get your stories, your struggles, your strengths that we all can connect with. And the unity is where we come together into one conversation as as a unit. The main thing that everybody really needs to is that growth starts small, but it never stops, and you never stop moving forward. I kind of messed that one up, but
Yeah, I like that actually.
Sounds
oh,
good. You never
So
stop learning, never stop moving.
we have a special guest today. He is returning. It is AJ Bolduk. But before we get to his story, these are the last two values of the deck. So starting next week, we are going to be rolling into a brand new podcast format, and we are going to be doing how to build the person you are trying to become. And we are starting with one whole month worth of podcasts. So one every week, like we've been doing. Next month, the month of September, will be your inner foundation. And the podcast will be the person that you could be. All right. AJ, welcome,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you for returning.
Thank you for having me. It's always a
So
pleasure.
tell
thank you, AJ.
us how transparency and unity have affected your life and how it has brought together with what you do with us.
Well, I guess in a sense, in my beginning of my journey, even though I'm well known for talking way too much, I'm never the guy that really talks about the root of issues or what's going on. I'm just a one word explanation type of person when it comes to things that are personally wrong. You know, if something hurts, oh yeah, I'm just in pain. I don't get to the bottom of things. But by opening up and having that like really open mind state of being able to let my guard down and tell my story and be open and honest with everybody, it gave me the opportunity to actually get real feedback on what was really going on in my life, what really needed to be fixed and worked on. And if I hadn't really been open and honest, then I don't think I'd be anywhere different today than I was years ago when I would try things differently, other coaching, other counseling, um, oh, what's wrong? Oh, well, I'm not getting along with my wife. That doesn't explain anything. You got to be transparent as to why you're actually not getting along with your wife. What's the root of the cause? And I think for most people, maybe not even men, just most people in general, it's hard to actually let it out and tell people, what the real root of the problem is. But that's the only way that you're able to get positive feedback, and you have to have trust. So that's where it's unity is a big thing, right? If I didn't have the trust to do what I did with both of you and with our men's group, and full on just transparency with everybody, then I could have never had all the people in our group along with you guys come in with suggestions and direction. I would have never had it.
Mm. Awesome. You got any questions from Rob? I know you got the questions.
Well, I do have a question, but I also want to reflect how important having a group of guys or having a group of people to be honest and truthful with. I'll talk about my hardest truth that I had to share, and I kept it in for a year and a half, and it wasn't until Mexico that
Mhm.
I shared it with a group of six guys, and I think it was then that I realized just by saying it and being transparent about how how much I hurt, did I create a bond with some of those guys in that group. And so I'm asking both AJ and Gary is like, when was the hardest truth you had to share with somebody that you love?
Hmm. I think my hardest truth that I ever had to share, I don't know if it was a truth exactly, but it was when I had to tell my parents that my wife wanted a divorce.
Hmm.
I remember being I was so mad and I had left the house and I was driving and it was late and I called them and they knew something was wrong. I don't call that late, and I told them and I was leaving. I had a bag packed with I think like a pair of underwear and maybe one pair of socks, and I was done. I was out, and they were like, "Don't leave. You cannot leave. You have a daughter." And I was like, "You're right." I turned back around, and I realized that this was a battle or a war that I had to face head on, and that's when I started getting into this work. But you, AJ?
I was really trying to think about it, and I think the hardest thing for me, uh, when it came time to actually be honest, was the fact that even though I thought I always worked so hard, and I thought I always did a good thing, like actually having to even admit it to myself, honestly, the fact that I failed. I failed, I failed in the areas of being a husband, in the role of being a protector. Um, but in the same sense, I failed as a father because by not protecting her in the situation she should have been protected in, it caused my kids to have no guidance, because they no longer had any respect for the parental figure that was in their life while I was off at work 6 days a week, and having to admit that, yeah, even to myself, that was, I think that's been the hardest thing I've ever had to really admit in the last 20 years at least.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, AJ.
Yeah.
So part of this also, since we've all three have gone through divorce, is helping other people out there and saying, do you think by being transparent, does it build a better relationship? And do they, or maybe the best way to put it is, what hurts a relationship? Is it the lack of being honest, or is it kind of transparent, or is it unity, building that trust together?
Uh, my opinion, what hurts relationships the most is the fact that after a long enough period of time, we just get comfortable. No matter who we are, we get comfortable, right? And especially once you're married, you get to a point where you don't have, you don't go on dates multiple days out of the week anymore. You're not watching the sunset or the sun come up. You're not, making your wife breakfast in bed, just because, it doesn't have to be a birthday or anything. It's just because you love her. You get married, even for I feel like even for a lot of men that work hard to stay on that part, right? After so long, it becomes there's date night. there's sex night. There's, there's family dinner day, you know, all all this bullshit, you know, should be to me a realization in a relationship that you have lost touch with actually having a relationship with that person, because your relationship became something because of what you two were to one another, but also, the love that you had for one another, the things that you did for one another, that just that undying bond, right? And that came along with all those things. Now maybe you make your wife breakfast in bed because it's her birthday, right? But back in the first year or two of being with her, you might have made her breakfast in bed for absolutely no reason. It didn't have to be a reason. It was just because you were in the kitchen making yourself something. Now you cook your own breakfast and she takes care of hers own on her own time. Kind of my outlook on where a lot of things go wrong in marriages. And I know we have kids and you start a family and you have careers, but I mean, geez, we're all old enough where if we started over at this point, even for complete scratch, right, we would end up back in a place like that again if we weren't really careful. We have children, we have homes, we have careers, we have bills, we have responsibilities. It'd be very easy to fall back and lose those amazing parts of the beginning of a relationship that really should always be held on to. And I really, really stand by that. The first 5 years of my marriage were out of this world. They were 5 of the best years of my life because every day was like the first week of
Honeymoon.
us getting together. Yeah. But who stays in the honeymoon stage for 5 years?
Many.
Personally, I think if my wife didn't get diagnosed with cancer at that mark, that wouldn't have stopped
Hmm.
because it still existed even with the kids around. It still did. But then cancer hit and that just kind of ripped things because it had to stop. We had to stop being an individual to one another and catering to those needs.
Gotcha. On that note, with what you just said, like I think a lot of people they get married and they have the honeymoon phase, but then they buy a house and they have kids and they're trying to establish themselves at a job, and that's when the wife gets pushed aside because it's already a commitment. It's on paper. It's there. It's not leaving. It's not going anywhere. But
There you
it
go. It's
will.
on paper.
Yes, exactly. So you focus on everything else that can actually go away,
Yep.
even though it can all go away.
Yep.
And you were right about what you said, though. If we're not aware, and with the work that that I put in, that Rob has put in, that you have put in, um, I think that it would be a challenge to not live the life that we want to live
Yep.
in our next relationship moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, you keep your marriage and you're safe, right?
Yeah.
With the rest of your documents. That's what it becomes.
Yeah.
You keep it in with the rest of your deed to your house, your mortgage. That's where your marriage sits. And we think that it can't go away. But
Okay.
by actually having a group of people that you trust, like our group on Thursdays, you're always kind of bringing yourself back some way, somehow to reality every week, no matter what it is we talk about. By the time we're done with group, I'm always thinking about everything from square one, where I started, where my journey started, where things went wrong. But I have also learned new things. I've also done my best to help other people and listen to other people as they're doing the same for me. And as
That's
long as we're real with one another, then we really are helping ourselves.
Mhm.
But we have other people to help us.
and that's the unity right there.
Yeah.
We all come together, and Rob and I run the group, but you guys all come together with what's going on in your world. And if you have something you can share with another guy and he has something to share with you, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed. Agreed. It's like I said the other day, like I missed a couple of groups over the last, month and a half. And I noticed differences in myself really quick, because I was back in some sense living in that comfortable role. It wasn't something, the things that needed to stay on my mind, especially now, because things are so early. The work is early. I've only been, really working at this for the last, well, I think it's been 8 months now, but it hasn't been that long. It's important to always go back to square one. It's important to always have that reminder. And not for nothing, I actually look forward to our group. If it's going out with a group of guys just to have, you know, uh, those friendships where you just end up at a bar, or, people are just talking shit. We're all complaining about our kids and our wives and our bills, right? We spend an hour or two actually helping one another, looking out for one another, and being friends with one another. What's on your mind, Rob?
So I was actually, as you were talking, I was thinking of an analogy that one of my high school teachers did with a cup of water, and it was dirty water. And if you think about all of our guys in our group, sometimes we go into this. If you want to hide that you're dirty water, then nobody can help you. But if you show that, say, hey, I need help, I'm dirty water, then you allow other guys to take on and help you cleanse that dirty water.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen the trick where they pour the dirty water into clear water and it dilutes it, kind of deal?
yeah,
And that's almost the
yeah,
unity. It's
yeah,
that by working together, we help that one dirty
yeah.
glass become clear.
yep,
Exactly. And
absolutely.
the more clear water that pours in that glass, the better it always gets. And that's the best way
Yeah,
to think about the
exactly.
unity aspect, right? The more clean water that gets added in, eventually you're back to clean.
That's the goal. Let's get the dirtiest guy in there and get them all cleaned up.
Absolutely.
So,
And Lord knows most of us need it. I made a joke the other day, but as everybody in my family always says, my jokes are the worst jokes because one, it's not a joke because I actually mean what I'm saying, and two, it's not funny. It's just some dad shit to say, but you know, uh, sorry, I lost myself there. Jesus.
You were doing the dad joke. That wasn't dad jokish.
Yeah, I lost before that though.
Uh,
Of course, I had to explain myself to that extent. Uh, shit. Sorry, guys.
it happens, brother. It happens.
Brain fart all the way.
I think I want to touch on one of the biggest things that Rob and I bring to this group and to what we do, and AJ brings it to the group, and so do the other guys, is that we all talk from experience.
Yeah.
We didn't just say, "Hey, I want to help people," and tell me your problems, and I'm going to Google it or figure it out. We all come from a problem that we had to solve in our own lives, and we take our notes, pretty much what we've learned, and we share it to help not only you but everybody else that we can grow. So it's like a shortcut almost. Like you can see what we've done and get where you're going.
You just remembered. It was the joke of how no matter how old a man is, right? We're all still little boys. We're all still little boys looking to have fun. But the joke part about it, to me, is the fact that I think at the end of the day, we all kind of go through the same things.
Mhm.
The reason why people don't put that together and they hide, in my opinion, and don't reach out to other guy friends or groups or coaches or anybody to help is because they think they're the only one. And they think that the things that are going on in their life with their marriage or with their families and children, is it's just so terrible that they can't share it, or that it's so abnormal. It's not, it's this is so abnormal that this happened to me. I'm just like, I'm embarrassed.
Mhm.
But I think at the end of the day, yeah, all of our stories are a little bit different, but the emotions and the feelings, they're all the same in all of us. And once we dig down to that point and realize that just because we're men, we can't let that little boy side out and be real with our buddies.
Absolutely. One thing on that note is I felt the same way when it first happened to me, my divorce. I felt like my parents have been married. They're going to celebrate 51 years in a few weeks. And when I got divorced, I didn't think that I thought I was an odd man out. I'm not going to see your 50-year anniversary because I am getting divorced and there is something wrong with me. And after doing this work, with meeting Rob, meeting you, and all the other guys we've helped, it is such a common thing. And that's why I got into this, because it's very common. And for people to think that it's uncommon is crazy. And I want to help anybody I can figure it out.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. That was the worst part of my marriage. My wife was raised around the fact that fights don't happen in a marriage. A happy marriage doesn't have fights. They don't have disagreements. And when I say like she was raised like that, like I'm telling you, deep, deep, deep in her core, she believed that through and through. So as soon as there was really a problem, to her, the marriage was over. She failed. That was it.
What do you got, Rob?
So, I'm listening to both of your stories, and I'm going, if I'm a listener, and I'm going, wow, these guys are really laying it out there. How do you know that you're being transparent with yourself? How do you know that you're being honest with what you're giving to somebody? I mean, like AJ said, I mean, it's something that I feared a lot of being judged about if I told anybody my deep, dark secret that I was divorced. But how do I overcome that?
By accepting it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think in one sense, right, we have to get to a place where we're ready uh to make a change in our lives, right? You have to be ready to make a change, and you have to. I think we all feel basically the same way when shit hits the fan and you start going through a divorce, but if you don't want to change and you're stuck in that mindset that nothing was your fault, then you can at least accept that it was a marriage, which means it was 50-50. It wasn't just the money you made, the house you owned, and what's in the bank. Everything was 50-50. So the marriage failed. It was half your fault. If you can't accept that, then you're not going to find that comfortability. But I don't know. I find it hard because I guess I just realized that I was so tired of feeling the way that I felt and feeling like such a failure. If I failed at my marriage and I fucked up my happy home, excuse my language, how can I be ashamed? What's left to be ashamed of? I mean, what if you feel that way? Then you obviously feel like everybody that knows you is judging you. So why not take a chance? Why not take a chance with people that they don't judge you?
Hmm.
Because guys like us do exist. We won't judge you.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't gonna judge you. I don't judge nobody when it comes to this shit. And I'm willing to give it my all to help anybody that goes through this because I know how it feels. And anybody that's been through it should want to be like that. They should want to help somebody. But there's not a lot of our communities in my eyes. You guys know a lot more about it than I do when it comes to that, but it doesn't, it's not like, you drive down the road and you see, coaching in men's groups,
You see
building
divorce
stronger
lawyers
women.
instead.
Huh?
See divorce lawyers instead of coaching
Yeah,
groups.
right. That's exactly what you see.
But you hit it on the money, AJ, as far as taking accountability, accepting your portion of it. And when I first got divorced, everything was her fault.
Yeah.
It was her fault, hands down. I can promise you, I was
Yeah.
not at fault for anything
Yep.
until I started digging deep and diving into this work. She was at fault for sure, but I had my fair share of faults. And I even had the same fair share in the next few relationships after my marriage because I wasn't accepting everything.
Yeah.
So, but yes, accepting and forgiving will bring the honesty and the clarity, the transparency.
Excuse me, you got a key word there though.
What's that?
Forgiveness.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that they need to forgive their soon to be ex-wife, right? You got to forgive yourself.
Yep. Forgiveness is for you.
Yeah, right. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is not to give to somebody else. Sure, if you still want to have that person in your life and it's important for you to let them know, I forgive you for what wrongs you've done or what part you took, great. But at the end of the day, you can look at the damn wall and pretend it's your ex-wife and forgive it. All right. As long as you forgive yourself, forgive that situation, you get to start moving on.
Right?
That's a hard thing to do, but you can do it. Anybody can. If I can, shit, anybody can. Yeah.
We all can. So,
The one biggest thing that I felt that I don't think y'all quite hinted on was the feeling of alone and being honest that you felt like you were alone in this. I know AJ mentioned it earlier, and that's why me and Gary, like, you joined this group so that you're not walking this path alone. Yes,
mhm.
you're not in the same category. You may not be experiencing it the same way. Part you talking about is being in a group of people that are at least walking in the same direction, and you're
Mhm.
walking behind them, or you may be like AJ, walking in front of the next person, helping the next person, telling them where the potholes are in this journey, and saying, "Hey, Lily, you need to watch out for this pothole
Yeah.
because I tripped in it a few times." And that's where the unity and it's almost unity is nice. I know we use brotherhood a lot, but it does create more of a family, if I would put it in a different way.
Yeah, I can definitely agree there. I've said it many times, like just our group alone, right? I know that I always have that group every Thursday night. No matter what, I have that group to go to. And I have my group of brothers, right? So the other 6 days, I might be alone. I might not have anybody, right? But no matter what, I at least have that. Now, yeah, I can reach out. I can schedule to talk to you guys. I can try to talk to other people. But for me, like our group is a big thing because you're right. It's like a family. No matter what, we get together.
Mhm.
Always try to teach my kids after they graduate, the older ones, once they graduated from high school, to always have a plan for the near future. So during this year, you're going to at least take a vacation, right? Doesn't have to be super far away. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it has to be planned. You always have to have something planned in the near future. It always gives you something to look forward to. It takes away that sense of feeling lonely, really, because when we're at work all day long and our families are growing up and moving on in life and our wife's doing whatever the hell she's doing, right? We feel alone in that aspect. That was my big thing. I always had to have some kind of vacation planned. And the more I did it, the more years that went by, the more I would hold on to that when I really felt alone. But I used to always come back from vacation. The worst thing that would kick me in the ass was, all right, that was great. That was fun. What do I have to show for it, right? This, I have something to show for. I get to just show up, spend time with my brothers, and I have something to show for it every week because I've learned more. Hopefully, I've helped somebody with all the talking I do.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah, hopefully, I help somebody. And hopefully, I've learned something and somebody's helped me. But I can't really think of a week where I haven't away from the group with something new. Something new.
That's excellent.
I
There's
like,
actually a few
like
people that were
that.
saying when the weeks you missed, they were like that they missed you. They were wondering where you were.
That's awesome. It makes me feel good.
So anyway, so these are the last two values of the Oak Values deck. So starting next week, we are going to be talking about how to build yourself as a person that you want to be, starting with the inner foundation. Rob, you got anything on that, or do you want to wrap it up?
If you want to finish it, I'll wrap it up.
I think that's it. So I will. So whether you've been here from the beginning, or if you're new here, welcome to the crew. Go to northmancoaching.com and get your next level dad packet, and join the Northman Facebook crew. Why do I keep getting that wrong? Facebook, the Northman crew, right? I don't know. Whatever. And remember, every moment you guys are casting a vote. Are you rising? Are you retreating? Are you honoring yourself, or are you selling yourself short? Remember, make every vote count. So until next time. Oh wait, you go first. Wrap it up, and then I'll do my
I
last
know.
line.
I was curious if you were going to run me over, but
No,
that's okay.
I got you. Finish it up, and I'll do my last line.
All right, and that's a wrap on today's episode. And remember, transparency leads to building the trust, and unity is the bond. And together, they build a life that you will love to live. So as you go about your week, pause, notice, and be intentional. The people around you will feel it. And just to let you know and to reemphasize what Gary says, big things are starting to happen. Conversations, new episodes, unfiltered guests. We're going to turn it up to 11, louder, bolder, etc., etc. We want you in the room because your story matters. And I'm turning it back over to Gary.
All right. Until next time, remember, stand up, speak the truth, and stay authentic. AJ, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you,
Thanks for
AJ.
having me, guys.
Have a good
Always
one,
a
guys.
pleasure. Have a good